All right, we are back for Roundtable Dolphins episode number 17. I am once again joined by Billie, Melissa, and Buddy, and we're going to talk all about Dolphins football. We have less than a week, or actually a week, until the 2026 NFL draft is here, finally. A lot was said by Jon-Eric Sullivan, and I will preface everything that we're going to talk about today with a disclaimer that every single GM uses this opportunity to lie through their teeth about what's going on. So I will say, take everything we say with a grain of salt, but we're still going to talk about what he said at his pre-draft press conference. He gave up a lot, but again, these are all smoke screens. This is what every single GM is going to do because they don't want any other team knowing what the hell is going to go on, who they're going to take. This is the final week of mock drafts. There's been a lot of movement, a lot of stuff going on. But regardless of that, we'll just jump right into it. This is really interesting. I don't know that this is a smokescreen. I don't know that this is. You know what? I'm just gonna say it is because again, I can't do that disclaimer and then not say that this is not a smokescreen. But very interestingly, Jon-Eric Sullivan was talking to the media and said that the Dolphins would be taking the best player available instead of going with positional need, and that everything would work itself out. Now, normally I would think this is BS, but the way that the Dolphins are built right now, I don't necessarily know if this is BS. I think there could be a very good chance that the Dolphins will take a big swing at best player available, especially with those 2 first-round picks, because why not? I think it's because of the clear position needs that they have, which is, at this point, wide receiver, offensive line, secondary, quarterback, everything. They need everything right now. So I don't think that they're not in a position to be able to take best player available. This is normally not a good route to take. But again, because of the way that the roster is built right now, I kind of think there's some truth to this, but I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's a tried and true method in teams that, great teams that have been doing it. And I think that they're probably bringing that over from the Packers. They've never had like those big gaps. They're a solid team that show up every year. And so it makes complete sense for it not to be a smokescreen. But then when I was reflecting on it, I thought the exact same as you. I was like, well, that's just the easiest way to not give away your game plan. And exactly what you said, like with the needs being so widespread, it doesn't harm you to really go about it that way because we know that the long-term plan is to rebuild. And so it could just be beneficial in the long run to just keep gradually like picking those next best positional players. So I think it could be true. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say I think he could be right in this one.
Yeah, I think that that's certainly the case, especially with the Dolphins. Like we talk about, like we've been talking about for the past couple weeks. Like their wide receiver room is pretty dim. Players on defense, they don't really have that star difference maker, right? The only real like star you could really point at is Devon Achane, right? But I mean, literally everywhere else, they need offensive line, defensive line, right? Safety, cornerback, I mean, wide receiver, the tight end, the list just goes on and on, right? So I think that possibly is like the best approach, especially when you are rebuilding. You just want to get, I guess, like a franchise type of player to just come in and do their thing, and then next year just build on it, just year after year, right? So I think that is I wouldn't say the right approach, but that's probably like the appropriate approach for the Dolphins, considering the type of year that they're going into and whatnot, and Jon-Eric Sullivan, obviously first time being a GM, so yeah, just I think just this new regime is just trying to build their own culture, their own identity, and if they feel like that's with the best player available, then so be it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, there's a point to be made too because they do have the number 11 and number 30 pick. So it's like with everything being so widespread, why the hell not take the best player available at those moments? Because there's really like no bad choice for the Dolphins in the first round. There's really no bad choice. Not no bad choice in general, but I mean, I don't like unless they go and take Ty Simpson at number 11, that would be a bad choice. But
I was
there's
going to say after the weeks of us being like, no, Tyson.
yeah.
Yeah.
No other bad choice other than that to take a quarterback in the first round. But like wherever they go, I don't think it really matters because they just have those steep needs. They have a like 20 plus low cost options that they brought in on free agency. So it's like why the hell not? Why would you not take, like, if it's, Ruben Bain, or it's Francis Mauigoa, or it's, Jordan Tyson, maybe not Jordan Tyson, but whoever the hell it is at number 11, that's the best player. There's so many different choices for them to go with. Why not just take whoever you believe is that player, go and take that player, and you can do the same thing on number 30 overall. So I think it's a gift and a curse, right? They have the flexibility to be able to go and take whoever the hell they want, but at the same time, it's like that's how steep their needs are. Like, you run the risk of not prioritizing a certain position over any other one, and then that kind of screws you over because, like, really the big, like, it's hard to say what is the biggest need right now for the Dolphins. I mean, obviously wide receiver is a really, really big one because they got Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell, and all the other guys that are just like, who the hell knows if those guys are going to be good or not, so you would say that. But then the offensive line, they have left tackle Patrick Ball, they got center Aaron Brewer, and everything else is up for grabs basically on that line. Austin Jackson is back, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field, so you could potentially replace him as well. Given his health, which the way that it's been going, he's probably not going to stay on the field. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That this could be the truth. This could be exactly what they need to do. Just take the best player available and, keep bringing in those low cost free agents if you're low in depth on one spot, because they've already done that. They've already brought in a gaggle of who the hell knows players anyway. So you can continue to do that. There's still a bunch of free agents that are available, and you just go best player, and then you worry about the free agents after the fact.
Yeah. And we have spoken about it being a deeper, or widespread position. So he may just be seeing it from this draft perspective of like, it could just be beneficial to us to just take that approach.
Yeah, definitely. I think this draft is a lot deeper for everything except for the quarterback position. Maybe running back as well. Like after Jeremiah Love, I don't know. I don't really know who like the top running backs are because I've been paying. That's it, right? Yeah. I've been paying way more attention to like offensive line and everybody else except for the running back position. Cause I mean, especially with Achane, you don't need one, and Ollie Gordon, and you got players, so you don't need that. But I mean, this jumps right into our next point. Jon-Eric Sullivan, as I've said, as we've talked about for weeks, months, since they came in, him and head coach Jeff Hafley, again, very impressive in what they're saying, very impressive in their delivery about how they're building this team. They have not faltered one bit. Everything that they've said, it's been direct down the middle, except for obviously if he's lying about the draft right now, which he probably is. But other than that, he's been very direct about where the Dolphins are, the cap situation, obviously everybody knows why they had to cut Tua, why they had to cut Bradley Chubb, and all of those contracts they got rid of, Tyreek Hill, yada, yada. They need to get into a healthy cap situation. They're in that healthy cap situation next year. But he was very, very direct and very, some might say brutally honest about the roster as it were right now. And he said point blank, we do not have many established players on this roster. So that's true. Like, they really don't. You got, we brought up Patrick Paul, like I said, Aaron Brewer, you got Devon Achane, you got Jordan Brooks on the defense, you got Zach Sealer, and like I'm probably missing a few that are the foundational players. But other than that, like, you don't really have anybody that's like a name that's known to most other teams, or more, fans or whatever, pundits, all that. But he said there's not many established players on this team. So the rookies, whoever comes in, are going to get a chance to play almost immediately. And again, I feel like this is a gift and a curse. A gift because like you get those rookies valuable reps when you need it. You're already facing a reality where you may not be competitive in 2026. That's fine. You're going to see what you have in this rookie class faster than other teams, because other teams are going to put their rookies out there, but they're probably going to be sitting behind the backup or the other backup. So you're down the depth chart and you maybe get special team snaps. Maybe you get some rotational snaps, but you're not going to get a whole lot of experience. As conversely for the Dolphins, all of these players are probably going to get the chance to start almost immediately, potentially. And I think that's smart. Again, especially he did say the expectations for obviously those players that you take higher up are going to be expected to be there, to be able to be NFL ready. But as we know, that's not usually the case. Sometimes rookies take a year or two to kind of get that pace of the NFL. Sometimes they may seem NFL ready, but they're not NFL ready. But you have, I think, 11 picks. So you have potentially 11 chances to find players that can be plug and play starters, or at least start more than half the games.
Yeah, it's really exciting for rookie prospects in the draft, knowing that you're not going to have to sit on the sidelines for a year and have a look at what's going on in front of you. And I think, when they gutted the team top to bottom and really only left Achane in the building, like, hang on a minute, who am I playing with? It does make sense that this is the process that they're taking, because they're quite literally like all those star players, like those beloved players that people, like you said, know around the league, whether they're fans or not, are now gone. And I think for this, it really just shows where the Dolphins are at. They're starting from the ground up, not just the coaching staff, not just the front office, but they're all going to be contributing to an entirely new era of Dolphins football. And it goes into what he said in the past about, building up the identity and wanting that to be a whole team effort, not just between him and Halfley. So I think it's exciting for these rookie players to really be getting a chance to show off their talents day one. And also it will show who can hang, who can get in there and just be ready to go. We're not watching you, you haven't got anyone in front of you to kind of learn from. You just have to go off your own skill, and your introduction to the league is going to be quite literally going up against Pro Bowl or pro players. So, I mean, good luck to them. That's a lot of pressure to put on a bunch of rookies, but I think you're maybe the most hungry when you're first coming into the league. So I think it could be a really good thing for them.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it's, like James said, it's kind of like a beauty and a curse, right? Because like the beauty of it is like these players get thrown into the fire, and they get those valuable reps, and then obviously if they do well, they only get better and better, and that results in the team getting better and better. And then the curse in it is, well, it's kind of out of necessity, right? Because the roster isn't as talented or as good right now, right? Which is why they need those rookies to come in and and kind of do the job. And like also too, like what's also really good about it, and I know every year GMs find players below the top 100 that thrive and do well, but the Dolphins, 7 of their 11 picks are in the top 100, right? So that
Yeah.
gives you even more of a chance to find that
Hit.
type of player
Yeah.
where you could rely on a week to week basis, right? On a play to play basis, right?
Mhm.
So that only increases the chances, especially if you hit on the player, right? I mean, we've seen it all the time where there's a rookie class for a certain team, 4 out of the 7 or whatever the case may be. If you could, there's 11 picks. If you could hit 4 of them, right? I mean, that's pretty high, especially considering with all the players and whatnot. Like if you could hit on 4 of them, that would be huge. Just 4, you could hit. That could be really huge for the Dolphins, because especially if it's 2 on the defense, 2 on the offense, right? Like, I mean, that could just spearhead you into being ahead of schedule, right? And then
Mhm.
2027, let's say you have another, I don't know, 9 to 11 picks again, like, and then you do it again, right? I mean, this is why there's like pressure. Like, there's not pressure on the Dolphins team exactly, especially if they get players right. But like, there's pressure on Jon-Eric Sullivan to like get this right, because
Mhm.
if you could move up that rebuild, not rebuild, that non-rebuild, I guess, however the case may be, like a year or two, that could go a long way, especially if they look promising this year, and then next year with all the cap space. I mean, who doesn't want to be in Miami, right? Like, who doesn't want to be,
Yeah.
in that sunshine, right? Down in South Florida, right? Especially if they're a really good team, right? So I mean, there's just this chain reaction that could happen, right? If you get players right, like, I mean, yeah, like right now it's like, okay, well, yeah, they can't really do anything, but if they get it right, you know, there's just like this major chain reaction that could happen that could be really beneficial for the Dolphins. And then if they don't get it right, then you look at the other alternative, right? It's kind of more so like, okay, well, yeah, this is kind of part of the plan, and 2027 we'll do this again, and hopefully next fall, that's when things start to go right, right? I mean, like, there's no real good pressure, but I mean, if you get it right, then things could be like start looking really good for the Dolphins.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's all true. I think it is, as you said, Billy, like it's very beneficial for these rookies to be able to take the field as soon as possible. But also too, it breeds competition in the best way possible because, say
They
you're
keep
Zach.
talking about that.
Yeah, you say you're Zach Sealer, you're the guy on the defensive line, but say they draft some guy and he's just gunning for your job. You have to get better. Otherwise, you will get replaced by your younger counterpart. You won't get that contract. You won't get that extension that you've been waiting for because that's the brutality of the business of the NFL. Is if you're not doing your job to the best of your abilities and you're not evolving and being good or better every single year, you will get replaced by somebody younger and cheaper. That's just the way that it works. And again, there's all these players that are currently on the Dolphins that are veterans, but we don't know how they're going to perform. They were down the depth chart of their previous teams. They were rotational players. We don't know who's going to emerge. So I think it's also like a mixed bag of like he was very careful to say they're happy about who they have. They just know that they don't have established players, which I think was important. Like he's like, yeah, I think there's going to be some guys that are going to surprise people, which of course that's always the case. Like you never know between your rookies and your vets who's going to emerge. Like you may go sign some player for a 4-year, $80 million deal, and they end up not being good at all, and they're gone a year later. That's just the way it works. That's how the NFL is. But the Dolphins now have a wide net that they have cast of a ton of free agents they brought in, including this draft class, which, like you said, buddy, four or five would be great. I'm hoping it's more than that. Like they need to hit like on more than half of that. But that doesn't mean that if a player's not ready to start, ready to take a impactful position in the Dolphins roster in 2026, that doesn't mean they're not going to be able to do so the following year. You've got to look at that as well. You've got to consider that there are players that need a year or two to kind of get going, just the way it is. Plus, there's undrafted rookies that have not been added or been added. You don't know what those guys are going to be like in training camp either. There's a lot of players that are so hungry for it, like they just move up the draft board and they move up the depth chart, and then all of a sudden they're a starter and they weren't even drafted. So there's so many different like variables and so many different things to consider when you're bringing in all these players. I think it's exciting for the Dolphins for that reason because you're literally like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen with any of these people. And I think that is the beauty of it. That's the bonus of being where the Dolphins are at. The curse is all these players might not be good at all. and then obviously you're going to be probably number one overall pick, in which case, again, you look at it like Malik Willis, did he work out? If he didn't, then you go and get like Arch Manning or whoever. So I mean, again, we're going way down the line here, but
Also, sorry to jump in,
no,
but
go for it. Please jump in.
we're talking about like the rookies,
Yeah.
but there's guys on the team who haven't maybe had a chance to flourish under the McDaniel scheme. So there may be guys in the building that just haven't had their potential tapped just yet. Like we've seen players go to other teams and completely flourish under new. So I'm not just excited about this rookie class, but about those guys who are maybe in the building who, haven't had their chance yet. So I think, there's probably a lot of untapped potential because Hapley and Sullivan wouldn't take this job if they didn't see something in there, and then there could just be a bunch of talent that we're not getting a chance to see yet.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about him before, and Jeff Havley made it a point to talk about it with Chop Robinson, for instance. He's barely going into his third year. His rookie year, he was nominated for Defensive Rookie of the Year. 2025 was not that good, but he wasn't a starter. They started, oh my God. Oh my God, I forgot the veteran. Anyway, they started somebody over him, and Chop didn't get the chance, but maybe Anthony Weaver was not allowing him to have that opportunity, whereas Jeff Hafley sees it, watches his tape, and goes, wait a minute, we can use this guy in this scheme, and he's going to be so much better. So you have a different mind going about it. You have a different defensive coordinator. Sean Duggan came over from the Packers to now join Jeff Hafley. So like you just said, Billy, that's a very good point. Is there's so many other players that are currently on the roster that maybe have not gotten their fair shake to see what they can do. I want to say it's Jason Marshall Jr. I believe he's the safety. He's also been kind of on the depth chart down there, but maybe he's going to be a guy that can emerge. That's the reason why they were like, we're going to let Minka Fitzpatrick, we're going to trade him, get rid of that contract, and see what this kid can do.
Yeah, it's going to be like a big bundle of energy down in Miami, I think over these next few months, people are all going to feel like the door's finally been open for them to get a chance to show what they've got. So I think that they're great coach. You know, they've been brought in for a reason. So I think that they're going to pull a lot of talent out of people that we've just not seen yet.
Again, that's a very good point to weigh in on that with too. Like, I mean, obviously, it's only potentially 11 rookies. We don't know what Sullivan's going to do in the front office. They could trade up and down. It could be 5 picks. It could be way less than 11. We don't know what they're going to really.
Hey,
do.
the Rams don't need that big.
Yeah, I mean, really though, they don't.
What have they got to trade?
Yeah, right. I mean, they have the number 30 overall. Send that back to the Rams, and there you go. I don't know.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, why not?
That would be kind of wild if they did do that. They're number 11, and they give the number 30 to the Rams and more draft capital, and then because the Rams don't have a lot of third round picks and a lot of the middle round stuff.
Exactly. No, I could. I mean, I could definitely see that happen. Also, too, like since the Rams were thrown out there, the Rams and Dolphins have traded in the past too.
Yep.
So like, usually
Good relationships.
Yeah, I mean, usually GMs in any sport go back to the team that they traded with in the past, right? And things happen like that. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, nothing is off the table.
No, and again, we don't know how the draft board is going to shake out. There's been hundreds of mock drafts. There's been so much said. Like nobody knows. Everyone could be thinking that Ty Simpson is a second round pick and he could get drafted number 4 overall. We have no clue what's going to happen, and it's going to be a surprise. And there's usually some big blockbuster trade where some team like way down in the lower teens jumps up to like number 5 and then throws the whole board off. So we don't know. But speaking of the draft room, the war room as they like to call it, and more of an update on Mr. Troy Aikman. So Troy Aikman's been involved with the Dolphins team quite a bit. He was involved in the GM search. He was the one that co-opted for Jon-Eric Sullivan to get in there, who then brought in Jeff Hafley, or helped with Jeff Hafley hiring as well. And then he went publicly and said, look, I got an invested interest in the Dolphins. I have a stake in them now. I want to see them do well. And the NFL is going to still investigate it. I don't know what may come of it. I don't know what's going to go on with that, but that's beside the point. Now, an even bigger update. Jon-Eric Sullivan was asked point blank, will Troy Aikman be in the draft room? And he said yes. Then he said he will not have any consultation on picks. Again, I think this is BS. You're not going to have somebody in your draft war room not saying anything. He's not going to be there just to be there. Like Dan Marino's in there, but he's definitely consulting on draft picks. It's Dan Marino. It's Troy Aikman, for crying out loud. Are you kidding me?
Just sat in the corner like,
yeah, he's just watching.
I'm good, guys.
His thumbs.
Don't worry about it.
like that one year when they panned to Bill Belichick and it was his husky sitting in his chair.
Yeah,
that's what it's gonna be. They're gonna pan
he's
to
just
Troy.
a prop.
Yeah, they're gonna pan to Troy Aikman. He's just gonna be like, oh. Yeah. So Sullivan
made a good time, enjoying the weather.
Right, exactly. Sullivan made it a point to say that Troy Aikman would be in the draft room, but he's not going to be. The final say will come down to Jon-Eric Sullivan, which we know this. He made it a point to also say that Stephen Ross will not make final say either. It'll be Sullivan. So it's all on Sullivan, which we already knew this, which is probably the dynamic they discussed. But again, I think it's 100% bullcrap that Troy Aikman is not going to be consulting on draft picks.
Yeah, I just find it funny that his official title is strategic advisor, and he's not going to be advising in any way. He's just going to be sat there,
can't advise on that,
minding his business. Yeah, I wonder if that story is going to develop or the NFL will intervene, but we've only got a week to go. So what can they really do about it if he really is going to be there? Yeah, I mean, how they're going to avoid the camera footage of him not talking or saying things, like there are cameras in that room. Is he going to is he going to say all of his stuff before they enter the room? He going to say stuff off camera? Like how, that's sneaky stuff. So, but yeah, no, I think it's exactly what you sound like. Why is he coming into the room then if he is not going to be saying a single thing? Yeah.
What's the point of having Troy Aikman in your war draft room and your draft form room, excuse me, and he's not going to be consulting on picks? Like, okay, like whatever.
Yeah, there's literally no reason to have a caliber player like Troy Aikman and not have him do or say anything, right? I mean, he's gonna play some type of role. Final say, no, of course not, right? Because he's not the GM. But I mean, he might be, I would say, maybe fourth in line at least, right?
Yeah.
How many guys are usually in a war room? There's like maybe like over 20,
There's a
Yeah, there's
lot.
loads and
You
loads.
have the director of college scouting, you got the VP of
scouts.
whatever, you got like there's so many people in that room, and sometimes dogs if you're Bill Belichick. But yeah, like all of those people are there for a reason because you're looking at your draft and you're still doing all that work. And so Troy Aikman's just gonna sit there sipping a coffee, like not talking, like at all. Come on,
No,
come
yeah,
on,
definitely not right. I mean, like
come on.
yeah, he's too much.
He talks for a living. It's his job.
Exactly right. He's so much of a football genius
Yeah.
to not say anything, right? Especially with like with the amount of picks that they have or the amount of picks they could get, right? I mean, there's just so much that could happen, and Troy. I mean, he's gonna be doing something to what level? That's still a little bit unclear, right? But I mean, it's clearly not going to be the final say, and it's clearly not going to be nothing. So it's going to be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, like they're probably not giving him like all of their draft board and going, "Hey, study all these guys." They're
Right.
not doing that. But I firmly believe he's probably going, "Oh, hey, I was checking out X, Y, and
Mm.
Z. I think this guy could X, Y, and Z." Because again, like you just said, but he's a genius football mind, which is why the Dolphins brought him in general, which is why he's been one of the longest running analyst commentators for the NFL because he sees the football field in a different way than everybody else sees it. Obviously, we've seen that. He's covered games for years now, and he's going to be able to give that to the Dolphins and be like, look, like I've seen this guy, I've seen your X receiver, and this guy is a better X receiver. Of course, he's going to say stuff like that. He's not going to have final say. Nobody is except for Jon-Eric Sullivan. That is his job. Your job is to be the final say, the guy, because then it falls on you. If you don't hit in these picks, it's your fault.
He's like,
Not
Troy did it.
Yeah,
Troy
it was,
spoke.
it was Troy Aikman.
He wasn't
Get
supposed to
him.
speak.
Yeah. I told you not to talk Troy Aikman. Yeah, really though.
If he talks too much, you might just put duct tape over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like strapped in the chair in the
You
corner.
just-
Like,
you just see
Troy,
no-
stop.
No audio. You just see them like tape his mouth to the chair, and he's just sitting there like he's
Maybe
a
that's the
prisoner.
plan. Yeah, maybe he is the husky of this year.
Yeah, I
He's the
am. I
guy.
am way more interested to see how this relationship is going to be developing because he clearly is taking a stance and wanting to work with the Dolphins, which why would they not accept him again being who he is, the years that he played at a high level, studying and watching the game for this long, and you're still involved at a high level. Like I said, you're still you're a commentator, but the amount of research and talks and GMs and coaches that you constantly talk to, obviously if you're with the Dolphins, that's going to change dramatically because certain people are not going to want to talk to you anymore, the rest of the AFC East for one. But that being said, like I'm just really interested to see what this is going to evolve into, especially if the NFL steps in and tells him he can't do it anymore. Is he going to choose the Dolphins?
Well, I mean, it's a great story to be a part of. You could be in history books if you turned around the Dolphins and made them the great
100%.
team that they once were. So I see his attraction to wanting to be part of it. I see Hafley's and Sullivan's attraction to being part of it. So we'll see, Troy. Will you have a big choice to make in the next few months? I don't know. I doubt it. I think, they let Brady do it. So I can't really see it being much different. But
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit different because he's a minority owner, and Troy Aikman is just talking about football. He has no he has no financial stake in it. Obviously he got a job, but I mean like he's not an owner of a football team, so I think it's different. But I think you're right. They let Brady do it, and Brady's whatever. So
Yeah, he's
uh,
prestigious, I guess, in a way.
yeah. Moving right along to our final point here that Jon-Eric Sullivan quickly talked about and moved on. Something that we've been bringing up, something that's been updated and talked about and yada yada yada. Which I still, again, disclaimer, I do not believe this is true whatsoever. But that's just me. Again, Jon-Eric Sullivan was asked if Devon Achane is tradable, and he said no. He shut it down, seemingly for the final time, and said that extension talks are ongoing and have been very positive. He said he has no interest in trading Devon Achane. I do not believe this is true because, as he also said, any player is tradable for the right price. We know this. We saw what happened to Jalen Waddle. He was sent over to the Denver Broncos for a good amount of draft capital. I highly believe if somebody offered a high first round pick, including a second, a third, or whatever, potentially a player. I fully believe that the Dolphins would also trade Devon Achane, regardless of what Sullivan is currently saying. That is just how I feel about it. I think the writing there is on the wall for people to see. Any player is tradable by anybody. Look at what happened with Max Crosby and the Ravens. Nobody thought that was going to happen. And yes, I know. Hurt feelings, I get it. But I'm just saying it almost happened. And that's the point, is when you have players of that caliber, if you are given a buttload of draft capital, you are not going to say no to that. The Dolphins traded Laramie Tunsil for 2 first-round picks. They've traded other players for high draft capital, and they're going to continue to do so, especially now that they're in a reset or rebuild, even though they won't classify it as either. Whatever the hell it is that they're doing. Yeah, I mean, it seems final, but I don't know. Again, we don't know how the draft board is going to shake out. We don't know what's going to happen on draft night. There very well could be a situation where one of the top 5 teams go and give that pick to the Dolphins for Devon Achane, and all of a sudden the Dolphins are drafting Jeremiah Love. That could very well happen.
Yeah. Not at
There
all.
are a great load of players that, they could not replace Achane with, but like if you really are going with the next best man mentality, then like I don't really see a reason why they wouldn't trade Achane. I mean, he's going to be an attractive offer for many teams. Like many teams want and need someone just like him, and some teams may be just desperate enough to just give those first round picks away. But it's exactly like you said. Like I don't think it will be for any price that's like not going to benefit them. Maybe this year, because they can just hang on to it until next year. Maybe like use a tag, see what happens. But yeah, it must not be nice for Achane. I know that like we spoke last week about him not being around for those like early meetings. I don't know how like, but I know that when I was reading the quote with Jon-Eric Sullivan, he was saying that it's like the conversations are trending in a positive direction, which is really vague and could mean anything. Does it mean that they've got a price in mind? Achane's team has a different price in mind. I don't really know, but I can't imagine how it must feel to be him in all of this and having this go on around you. Like half your team's gone out the building. You don't really know where you stand. You don't know where you're going to be playing next year. You're not really willing to show up for these early meetings or training or whatever it is. Yeah, it's not a good look. And I think it would just do everyone a good thing to just figure it out ASAP. But it could really just be a draft night thing. It could just be, hey, this is where you go and this is what's going to happen. It's not a good look, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, like the Titans have been mocked to Jeremiah Love at number 4 overall, but who's to say they're like, well, we don't know what this guy could be. We know Devon Achane, what he is. We're going to give the Dolphins that number 4 overall pick plus more draft capital. Are the Dolphins going to say no to that? No, I don't think they will at all. I think they would jump on that. So,
well, they have no sentimentality about anyone because they let everyone walk out the buildings. So.
Exactly. And again, they're in their rebuild, their reset, whatever you want to call it. And
Yeah. No, like what I hear when Jon-Eric Sullivan says not available for trade, I hear we haven't gotten a good package or package for him, so try again. That's what I hear.
You got to up those numbers.
To all the other leagues.
Those are rookie. Those are rookie numbers. You got to up those numbers. Yeah, for sure.
That's what because nobody is untradeable, right? And James, like you said, like if they get hit with the deal that they deem worthy for Achane, it's going to happen. Whether that's going to be definitely within the next week, right? I mean, like day one of draft day. Obviously, a ton happens in that 3-4 hour span, right? So, I mean, if the Dolphins get hit with a great package they deem worthy for HN, then hey, it's gonna happen. If not, then I mean, clearly the Dolphins have no issue in hanging on to him because they view him as a franchise cornerstone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And building in that direction that they want to go in. So, I mean,
do they risk damaging the relationship?
But it goes the other way too, because we're not talking about the fact that the Dolphins could be offering him up to somebody like the Titans and go, look, we'll give you Devon Achane. You're the one that's got to pay him that extension that he rightfully deserves, and yada yada yada. So they could be the ones also facilitating the trade, because as Jon-Eric Sullivan also said, we have to get younger and cheaper. Devon Achane is already demanding a new deal. There's a potential he holds out. So what are you going to do with that? Are you going to cave? What are you going to pay him with? The Dolphins have like $2 million in cap space right now. So you have to then figure out, well, I mean, obviously his cap number goes down if you give him an extension, but other players as well. Jordan Brooks, as I mentioned before, Aaron Brewer, those are guys that Zach Sealer, those are guys that need an extension too, that you could extend, you would have to extend to get that cap space opened up. So the Dolphins could very well be shopping him, and he's saying, "Oh, he's not tradable. He's not tradable." Like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Like that's not the case at all. I don't think
he's got a deal on the table, and he's like, "It's not tradable because we got something locked in for draft night."
Yeah, I mean, and that could be the case too. And like I said, if it's a top 5 a draft pick, and you go get Jeremiah Love, who's now a rookie, and you only have to pay him a rookie deal, you're gonna do that so fast. And let's not to mention the fact that you have Jalen Wright and you have Ollie Gordon, who both have shown flashes of brilliance. And so right now you have a pretty good running back room with all of those three. And again, like you brought up earlier, Billy, those guys haven't really gotten their fair shake to really see what they can do. So if they are a 1-2 punch combo that ends up working out, and you go get Jeremiah Love, or maybe you don't, I don't know, but you get another player.
If Achane's messing up their financial plan, I don't think they're going to feel that sentimental when they say, "Here you go. Here's
They said the
home."
same thing about Jalen Waddle. They said the same thing about him, that he was a foundational player, and they sent his butt to the Broncos.
Yeah. They looked at that payroll, they're like, yeah, nah, I don't think so.
You got to get younger and cheaper. The fastest way to get younger and cheaper is especially to get rid of those people that need an extension. Devon Achane is one of those people.
And who earned it? The big one.
Yeah, and I'm not saying at all that they should be trading Devon Achane. Absolutely not. I think they should keep Devon Achane, because Devon Achane is that foundational player that is going to help you be competitive in 2026 above a lot of the other players on your team currently. Like, you're going to be a run-heavy team for sure.
Yeah, he must be anxious to get the deal done too, because, one bad season, one bad injury can really ruin it all for you, can ruin your reputation. So it's in both of their best interests to kind of figure out what's happening, because I'm sure Achane is feeling just as much pressure as they are about it.
Yeah, I mean, and he already had an injury his rookie season that knocked him out for a few games. So I mean, obviously, like, he's shown that he can be durable, but at the same time, that's something you have to consider. Like, exactly like you just said, what if he signs this extension and then all of a sudden he goes down with a really major injury, and then look at you where you're at now.
Yeah, he's certainly a foundational piece, but the Dolphins don't want him to be an expensive foundational piece, because then that's when things start to get tricky for them. And clearly, that's not the direction they want to go in.
No,
it's not a direction they can afford to go in.
Yeah, exactly. It would be
Whatever. Yeah.
It would be a different story if it was 2027. Then you're like, okay, yeah, open the checkbook and write him a damn check and let's get this thing going. But it's not. It's right now. It's current. And if he's fully expecting to hold out for a new deal, which again is still a little bit premature because you're barely going into your third year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Not that he hasn't, obviously he's clearly earned the right to talk about a new deal, but you look at all those variables, you look at all of it and go, okay, like, this is premature a little bit. Should we consider that obviously somebody else with more cap space will give up a high first round pick and more draft capital? They will have to pay that contract as opposed to us. We have some younger guys that we can potentially use and then potentially go and get someone like Jeremiah Love or whoever. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's our show. That's our episode. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're not going to be back next week. I think we're going to wait. We're going to be waiting. Draft. Yeah, we're going to be waiting because the draft is going to happen, but we will do a full recap, all that good stuff the following week. That's it. Billy will be there, boots on the ground, have fun at the draft.
But up north, sorry, Miami.
Not there for the Dolphins, but she will be in attendance for another team that we cover. But that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. This has been Roundtable Dolphins episode number 17. Thank you, Billy and Buddy, for joining me. We will be back in a little over a week to talk all about the draft and what happened, and maybe Devon Achane being traded, maybe not.
Hope not.
Hope not either.